Welcome back to Spelling and Word Study. My name is Mrs. Rhoades, and I am here to get you started on our final list, Unit 36, the NK ending. Please take a second to gather your materials. You will need this red book, open to page 221. You'll also need some colorful pens, markers, or crayons. Remember, whatever I mark on my board, you should be marking on your page. Please save room for a key as well. All right, so last week we talked about the NG digraph. And we said that NG is considered a digraph because we're taking two letters and we're putting them together to make one new sound. Well, this week we're going to talk about NK. The NK chunk is similar to the NG chunk, but there are some differences as well. First of all, NK is not a digraph. It is considered a blend because it actually makes two sounds. Think about it. If I wanted to tap out the word sink, s, I, n, k, there are four sounds there, right? S, I, n, k. Here's my S. Here's my I. S, I, is represented by N. And then K is represented by K. So we have two sounds here. But here's what's interesting. That N does not make a N sound, right? Instead, it makes the N sound. That NG digraph shows up here, but there's no G there, okay? We hear it, we don't write it. Practice for a second. Say the word sink. Now stretch it out. S, I, n, k. Notice what your mouth does when you make that sound. It's very different from the n sound that you would make in a typical N word. Okay, so that's the first thing I want you to know. NK is a blend. It makes two sounds. It makes a sound and it makes a k sound. But we never write the letter G. I've been teaching for a long time. I've seen students try to write words like this before, s, I, n, k, and put a G in there. That is always going to be wrong. NGK does not exist in our language. So if you're stretching out a word like sink or pink or honk or dunk, and you hear that k, just use N and then K. Okay? If you can do that, you'll be all set. That's the trickiest thing you need to know. Now, I told you that NK and NG are different, but I also told you they have some similarities. For instance, NK also shows up at the end of a word or syllable. NK also shows up after one vowel. You will see it after the A, the I, the O, or the U. You will never see it after an E. Just like, remember last week I told you that ENG does not exist. There's no ang sound spelled like that. The same thing is true for ENK. Enk does not exist in our language, okay? So file that away, but let's backtrack now and let's read our list. As we do, repeat each word, listen for that nk sound at the end of each word, and use your eyes to look for that NK pattern. All right, please repeat after me. Bank, dunk, honk, junk, link, pink, sank, sink, tank, wink. Did you hear that nk blend at the end of every word? Great. All right, so let's choose a color. And the first pattern we're going to talk about is A-N-K. Do you remember last week we had the word bang and we noticed that that A made a long A sound? Well, the same thing is going to happen this week. B-A-N-K. 4 sounds, the A is long. We see that again in the word sank. S-A-N-K. 4 letters, 4 sounds. Again in the word tank. T-A-N-K. Over here in our key, let's draw a pink box, and we're going to write ourselves a note. Pink box equals A-N-K, and that A is going to have a long A sound. All right, let's choose a second color, and this time let's look for words that have a U before the NK. We see this in the word dunk. That U is short. D-a-unk. We see it again in the word junk. J-a-unk. And that's it. Okay, so blue box equals U-N-K. And just like last week when we put an N-G after it, that U is going to be short. All right, the next pattern we're looking for is O-N-K. We see it in honk. A-N-K. Short O. I guess that's the only one we have. Okay, so green box equals O-N-K. And that's also going to make a short sound. Okay, we have 1 vowel left. We talked about the A, the O, and the U. And we said that the E doesn't exist with this pattern. So what does that leave us with? Good, the I. So let's look for the I in link. Notice that I is going to have a short it sound. L-I-N-K. We see it again at the end of pink, again at the end of sink, and again at the end of wink. Remember last week we noticed that that ing pattern was very common? Turns out the ink pattern is also very common. This is a good one for you to know because in addition to words like link and pink and sink and wink, you're going to see it in bigger words like think and drink and brink. Okay, so ink also uses a short vowel sound. And just quickly notice again where that NK is showing up, always at the end of a word or syllable. Okay, so what I'd like to do now is go through our list and make sure we know what each of our words means. So let's start with bank. A bank is a thing. It's a noun. It's a place you go to save your money or borrow money. So bank equals a place to save or borrow money. Okay? We could be talking about a big brick building in your town where your parents go to cash their paychecks and take money out, or it could be a tiny little piggy bank that you keep in your house. Either way, it's a place where we save money. Dunk is a verb. It's an action. When you dunk something into the sink or you dunk something into the pond, you're pushing it underwater. So you can dunk someone in a swimming pool. I wouldn't recommend that. People hate that and it's not safe. But if you push them under the water, you are dunking them. You could dunk your Oreos in milk. You could dunk a donut into a cup of coffee. If you're playing basketball, you could dunk the ball into the hoop. You're pushing it through the rim. Okay? So anytime you dunk something, you are pushing it under a surface. Okay, honk is also a verb. If you honk a horn, you make a loud noise. Okay, so to honk means to make a loud noise, maybe with a horn. Geese also honk. That sound that they make out in the wild is called honking as well. Junk is a noun. When we talk about junk, it's stuff you don't want. So if your teacher tells you to clean out your desk, she's telling you to get rid of all the junk, the old papers you don't need anymore, the broken pencils, the worn out crayons, the stuff that's not useful anymore, that's just junk, so you get rid of it. A link is a noun. It can also be used as a verb. When you link things, you join them together. Okay, so you could link arms with your friends if you're walking across the playground. If you think about a necklace, it is made up of a bunch of little metal pieces that are all joined together. They're linked together, right? So you could call that, you could call these little pieces links. Sometimes if people have an animal, like a dog, they might keep the dog in their backyard, and then they might have what's called a chain link fence. It's made up of all these separate little metal links that form a wall. Okay, so when we think about link, we can think of it as a verb. We're joining things together, we're linking them up, or we could talk about a link, a piece of metal that joins with another piece of metal. Pink is an adjective. It's a describing word. If I'm talking about my pink shirt or my pink house or my pink cup, that is an adjective. It can also be used as a noun if we're just talking about the color. I love the color pink. Sank is a verb. It is the past tense of sink. We talked about past tense last week, right? So if I drop my shoe into the water, it might sink, which means fall to the bottom. I tried it yesterday, and yesterday my shoe sank. So if it sank, it means it fell to the bottom. Notice there's no such word as sinked. We can't just add ed to this word to make it sound like it already happened. We have to make a whole new word. Now I sink, yesterday I sank. Okay, there's the word we were just talking about, right? If something sinks, it falls to the bottom. That's always a fun game to play, right? You get like a big glass of water and you just drop things into it. Some things will sink to the bottom, some things will float on top. But the word sink can also be used as a noun. If you think about the sink in your house, there's a sink in your bathroom where you wash your hands. There's a sink in your kitchen where you wash dishes. So that big basin that fills up with water is a sink. Tank is also a noun. There are two kinds of tanks that you're probably familiar with. It could be an army tank, right? So an army vehicle. Those are those big trucks that look like they're indestructible, right? Because they're so strong. But a tank could also be a container that holds liquid. A container that holds liquid. Think of a fish tank, right? It's a big box that holds water. Think about an oil tank. Somewhere in your house, you might have this big tank full of oil that your parents use to heat your house. Your car or truck has a gas tank, and maybe once a week you go to the gas station with your parents to fill up that tank. You're filling it with liquid gas. So a tank is just a container that holds a liquid. And then our last word is wink. And we can use this word as a noun or a verb. When you wink at someone, you close one eye. I'm not going to demonstrate that for you because I, for some reason, cannot wink. It's impossible for me to close just one eye. If I do this, though, that's not called winking, that's called blinking. So when you blink, you close two eyes. When you wink, you close one eye. Sometimes people wink as a way to say hello and be friendly. Sometimes people wink if they want to let you in on the joke. If they're like teasing or they're being silly or being funny, they might wink, okay? So if they close their eye, one eye, they are winking. If they give you a wink, that would be the noun form. All right, that's all I have for you today. Good luck. And like I said, we have completed our grade 1 book, but don't worry, we have a whole nother book, a grade 2 book that will pick up where we left off. I bet you guys are ready for that soon. So good luck and thank you very much.